Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shaba. Top story. The State Bank of India has requested the Supreme Court to extend the deadline till June 30th for giving information about electoral bonds to the Election Commission. Remember, the Apex Court in a historic judgment last month had struck down the electoral bond scheme and told SBI to give the information to the Election Commission by March 6th.
22,000 applications in terms of electoral bonds, and double that, it's around 44,000 which have to be correlated because when they issued the bond and when it was in cash by the political party, they were kept at two different places and they weren't in two different silos, as they argued before the Supreme Court, and it would require a lot of paperwork to correlate the two, and that's the reason for why they're asking that to be submitted by the 30th of June for an extension. We'll have to wait and see whether the Supreme Court will adhere to this. This was decided by a 5-judge bench and held it unconstitutional. They were very, very firm when they said that there can be no secrecy involved in those people who had contributed and had wanted this to be made public by the 13th of March, well ahead of that electoral process that is going to be underway to ensure that everybody knows who the funders are, whether what exactly was the amount that was given by any particular person. It requires, of course, a lot of data analysis because it's not necessary that a particular company, the individual who had bought that electoral bond would be able to correlate it with the political party. It requires a little bit of data analysis and data crunching, which will have to be done. But nevertheless, the fact of the matter is that an attempt of transparency and accountability in the electoral system was envisaged by the Supreme Court. Whether they will indulge the State Bank of India is anybody's guess, but definitely a petition has been filed and we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens.
And news from Uttar Pradesh. Cabinet expansion will take place in UP on Tuesday. Cabinet expansion will take place on Tuesday at 5 p.m. The swearing in will take place at Raj Bhavan. 4 to 5 new ministers are expected to take oath in Yogi Adityanath's government. Let's go across to Tanishq, who's joining us on the phone line. Tanishq, what are the other details?
Well, Osama, this cabinet expansion was much awaited as there had been talks, but it is finally coming, if sources are to be believed, it is coming just ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. Now, 2 MLAs of the RLD are likely to be inducted into the state cabinet, and also SBSP chief O.P. Rajbar is also likely to be sworn in as a cabinet minister. These are the details that we have as of now, and if sources are to be believed, the expansion could take place at around 5 p.m. tomorrow. And, the governor is on a visit to Agra, so once she's back from Agra, then the cabinet expansion could take place. Now, RLD getting 2 cabinet berths was a part of RLD's, deal with the BJP for joining the India Full. Today, RLD also announced 2 of its candidates from Bijnor and Bagpat seat. So now, yes, the cabinet expansion is likely to take place tomorrow if sources are to be believed, and 4 to 5 new inclusions the UP government could see into the state cabinet, including, RLD leaders and SBSP chief Om Prakash Rajbar as well. Yes.
Tanishq Punjabi, thank you very much for getting us all those details. The BJP today launched the Modi Ka Parivar campaign to counter Rashtriya Janata Dal patriarch Lalu Yadav's personal attack, in which the veteran leader said the Prime Minister has no family. Now, the question is, will this personal attack backfire against the Prime Minister like it has in the past? Here's a report.
मेरा जीवन खुली किताब जैसा है। मेरी पल पल की खबर देश रखता है। 140 करोड़ देशवासी, यही मेरा परिवार है। ये नौजवान मोदी का परिवार है।
A fresh BJP campaign for the Lok Sabha polls minutes after PM Modi's speech in Adilabad in Telangana. Top party leaders, union ministers, chief ministers of BJP ruled states added Modi Ka Parivar to their social media handles.
आजकल परिवारवाद पर हमला कर रहा है।
A day after RJD chief Lalu Yadav's attack against the PM on his dynastic politics charge against opposition parties. Lalu was addressing an INDIA opposition bloc rally in Patna.
ये नरेंद्र मोदी आजकल परिवारवाद पर हमला कर रहे हैं। अरे भाई तुम बताओ ना कि तुमको क्यों परिवार में कोई संतान नहीं तुमको हुआ, बताओ। तुम्हारे पास परिवार नहीं है।
आज देश की करोड़ों बेटियां, माताएं, बहनें, यही मोदी का परिवार है। आज देश का हर गरीब ये मेरे परिवार है। जिसका कोई नहीं है वो भी मोदी के हैं और मोदी उनका है। आज पूरा देश एक सुर में कह रहा है, नेने मोदी कुटुंबम, नेने नेने। आप आश्वस्त रहिए, आपका ये चौकीदार पूरी तरह से चौकन्ना है।
The Modi Ka Parivar campaign is on the lines of Main Bhi Chaukidar drive ahead of the 2019 general election. BJP leaders had then added Main Bhi Chaukidar to their social media handles to counter Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's Chaukidar Chor Hai jibe at the Prime Minister. Multiple times in the past, we have seen personal attacks on the Prime Minister are politically weaponized by the BJP, and it has yielded political dividend as well. So, in 2014, if it was Manishankar Iyer's Chai Wala comment, in 2019, it was Rahul Gandhi's Chaukidar Chor Hai comment, and in 2024, it could prove to be Lalu Yadav's Parivar comment. With inputs from Adilabad, camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Prime Minister Modi began a worldwide tour of 12 states and union territories over the next 10 days. He was in Telangana and Tamil Nadu on Monday. This was Prime Minister Modi's fourth trip to Tamil Nadu since January. The Prime Minister has been inaugurating and laying foundation stones of multiple development projects all over the country. Listen in to what he said at a rally in Kalapaka earlier on Monday.
डीएमके सरकार ने चेन्नई के लोगों की जरूरतों से, आपके सपनों से मुंह फेर रखा है। अभी कुछ समय पहले इतना बड़ा साइक्लोन आया, चेन्नई के लोगों को इतनी परेशानी हुई, लेकिन डीएमके सरकार ने मदद करने की जगह लोगों की मुश्किलों को और ज्यादा बढ़ाने का काम किया।
In a landmark judgment, the Supreme Court on Monday ruled that members of parliament and members of legislative assemblies cannot claim any immunity from prosecution for accepting bribes to cast a vote or make a speech in the House in a particular fashion. Here's a report.
In a landmark Supreme Court ruling that will end free run for members of parliament and MLAs inside the legislature, the top court on Monday ruled that there will be no legal immunity for any lawmakers if they have taken a bribe. A 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court headed by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud unanimously ruled that taking a bribe is an independent crime and a lawmaker can be prosecuted if he or she has voted after taking money.
Corruption and bribery of members of the legislature erode the foundation of Indian parliamentary democracy. It is destructive of the aspirational and deliberative ideals of the Constitution and creates a polity which deprives citizens of a responsible, responsive and representative democracy.
In a strongly worded verdict, the top court said lawmakers in parliament and state legislatures are not immune from prosecution in bribery cases. It added that bribery is not protected by parliamentary privileges. Corruption and bribery by legislatures destroy the functioning of Indian parliamentary democracy. The court ruled, adding that an MLA taking a bribe to vote in a Rajya Sabha elections is also liable under the Prevention of Corruption Act. The verdict set aside a 1998 judgment in which a 5-member constitution bench had upheld the immunity for lawmakers in cases where MPs or MLAs take bribes for a speech or a vote in the House. Among the first to welcome the judgment was the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who called it a great judgment that will help in cleaning politics, a point endorsed even by the opposition.
This is a historic judgment, and I'm glad that the Supreme Court has removed the earlier anomaly in the law. It is inconceivable, consistent with a vibrant democracy, that the representatives of the people in the highest forum of democracy can absolve themselves of the charge of corruption and bribery.
ये निर्णय बरबस हमें इस बात की याद दिला देता है कि न्यायालय के द्वारा सिद्ध नोट के बदले वोट का एकमात्र उदाहरण, सबसे पुराना उदाहरण 1994 झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा रिश्वत कांड। झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा के 3 सांसदों ने रिश्वत ली थी और वो पैसे भी बरामद हो गए थे, वो लेकर तत्कालीन कांग्रेस सरकार को बचाया था।
With no more special privileges for lawmakers, they will have to be extremely careful and ensure greater probity in public life, and that the law applies equal to all. With camera person Karan Patra, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And now news from Rajasthan, where 15 police sub-inspectors undergoing training in prestigious Rajasthan Police Academy have been picked up by the Special Operations Group. Now, this after leads indicated they cheated in the exam and got into the police force. Joining us to give us more details is Harsha Kumari Singh. Harsha, this is big breakthrough in the Rajasthan paper leaks case.
Well, yes, absolutely. In fact, this case is now unraveling like a can of worms, really. There was an arrest on the 29th of February of one Jagdish Bishnoi. And Jagdish Bishnoi apparently turns out to be some kingpin of this paper leak mafia. And he has, it's his leads which are indicating that the police inspector exam of 2021-2022, several candidates cheated in that exam. So on his leads and on his sort of indication, they've picked up about 15 people who are undergoing training, and they're interrogating them to figure out how this cheating happened in this police sub-inspector exam. So of course now it also puts into question mark the entire examination, which took place in 2020. It was in 2022 that the exam actually took place, but it's called the 2021 exam. And there are about 700 police personnel undergoing training right now in various institutes in Rajasthan of the police training institutes. So really what the government will do is something that we're going to look at. But the Chief Minister has also tweeted about it. And he's talked about how the special investigating team, which he has constituted, led by the ADG, Mr. V.K. Singh, is really getting to the bottom of the cheating mafia in Rajasthan.
Harsha Kumari Singh, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Well, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. The US Supreme Court handed Donald Trump a major victory on Monday as he campaigns to regain the presidency, overturning a judicial decision that had excluded him from Colorado's ballot under a constitutional provision involving insurrection for inciting and supporting the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Now, the justices unanimously reversed a December 19 decision by Colorado's top court to kick Trump off the state's Republican primary ballot on Tuesday after finding that the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment disqualified him from again holding public office. And joining us to give us more details is Vishal Vivek. Vishal, how crucial is this for Trump, who is the frontrunner for the Republican nomination to challenge in the upcoming U.S. election?
Well, it is quite crucial in the sense that his whole election campaign had hinged on this judgment, in the sense that it was really important for him because the Colorado Supreme Court had banned him from the state ballot. While holding that decision, it had said that Trump could appeal to the higher court, which is the U.S. Supreme Court. So it has come as a, relief for Trump. It was widely expected that this will happen because the U.S. Supreme Court mostly has conservative majority judges, and a few of them have been personally appointed by Donald Trump himself when he was the president of the USA. So it was widely expected that the judgment will be on these lines. But even then, this case had gained a lot of traction because a lot of people had, come out and spoken about Trump, inciting an insurrection on January 6, 2021. So that could have had an effect on his whole campaign. But now that the Supreme Court has, given a judgment in his favor, a unanimous judgment, so that has, set him on a course to get that nomination when the election finally happens in November. So this judgment comes ahead of the Super Tuesday, which will be all important because 15 states will go to vote and they will choose their Republican candidate. The race is not yet over, but Super Tuesday is extremely important. So just ahead of Super Tuesday, which means it's a big relief for Trump. One thing to note here is that the judges were hearing this case, which was based on a rare amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It was called the 14th Amendment. So based on that, anyone who has engaged in insurrection could not hold office. So it's a big relief for Trump.
Vishal Vivek, thank you very much for getting us all those details. Now, Indian-American presidential candidate Nikki Haley has won her first Republican nominating contest by defeating rival Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. With this, Haley has created history by becoming the first woman ever to win a Republican presidential primary. Speculation are also rife about Michelle Obama likely joining the presidential race. Here's a report.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley scored her first 2024 primary win with a victory in Washington, D.C., ending Donald Trump's undefeated run in the U.S. primaries on Sunday. Her win comes ahead of a decisive day in the U.S. nominations process, Super Tuesday, in which 15 states and 1 territory will nominate their candidate. Haley is the first woman to win a Republican primary. Despite this victory, Trump continues to have a decisive lead over Haley and is likely to face Joe Biden in the November elections. Trump leads with 244 delegates while Haley has 43 delegates. A candidate needs 1,215 delegates to win the party's nomination.
We had 14 people in the race. I defeated a dozen of the fellas. I just have one more fella I got to catch up to.
Hours after Haley secured her victory, a war of words ensued. While the Haley campaign said it was not surprising that Republicans closest to the Washington dysfunction are rejecting Trump and his chaos, the former president's campaign resorted to calling Haley the Queen of the Swamp, who has been soundly rejected throughout the rest of America. Meanwhile, amid questions over Biden's age and health, speculation is rife among Democrat supporters after a survey found Michelle Obama to be the leading choice to replace Joe Biden as a presidential candidate. If he drops out of the race, Michelle Obama has ruled out the possibility of entering the race. With Super Tuesday merely a day away, with 15 contests for Republicans and 16 contests for Democrats and 1/3 of the total delegates up for grabs for the Republicans, 5th of March could be Haley's last real chance to upend Trump's march for the nomination. With Disha Bagchi, Aarti Krishnan for NDTV.
And Prime Minister Modi met actress Vaijayanti Mala in Chennai. The Prime Minister said that he and the entire nation admired her for her exemplary contribution. Remember, Bharatanatyam dancer and actor Vaijayanti Mala Bali was conferred the Padma Vibhushan on January 26 this year, along with Bharatanatyam dancer and Guru Padma Subramaniam. In a post on X, Prime Minister wrote that glad to have met Vaijayanti Mala ji in Chennai. She has just been conferred the Padma Vibhushan and is admired across India for her exemplary contribution to the world of Indian cinema. That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV.